Hi, I'm Ed Teja, and today I'm going to talk to you about Ayn Rand and the metaphor of Atlas. During the period from about 1760 to 1820, Europe underwent disruptive changes that effectively created the world we live in today. This period was the advent of the Industrial Revolution, the transition from hand production and cottage industries to manufacturing processes using machines, new chemical manufacturing techniques, and iron production processes, an increasing use of steam power, the development of machine tools, and the rise of the factory system. The enormous social and economic consequences were exciting yet troubling. Goods became cheaper and more readily available, but income inequality grew as well. The emergence of a middle class made the plight of those at the lowest rungs of the economic ladder seem even worse. Social reform seemed necessary, and there were several competing factions looking for resolution that met their own expectations and goals. In the 1860s, Karl Marx declared that the organization of society depended on the means of production, and that by giving over their labor to the owners of machines and factories, workers became alienated from their own culture. He wrote, quote, "Each country has its own ruling class. In capitalist countries, the rulers of the means of production employ workers. The capitalist class is also called the bourgeoisie. Means of production are what it takes to produce goods. Raw materials, satellite networks, machinery, ships, and factories are examples. Workers own nothing but their ability to sell their labor for a wage." End quote. In the 1950s, when Ayn Rand wrote Atlas Shrugged, the people she celebrated were those who worked with these machines, with raw materials, with physical objects, and with ideas. They were the ones who ran railroads, produced steel girders and other essential materials, mined copper and coal, created art that celebrated the human form and spirit, and they made money. In her world, the locomotive was literally and metaphorically the motive force of the economy, and these people were the ones who created, improved on, and owned the means of production. For Ayn Rand, it was this alleged ruling class, the capitalists, who made the jobs, and her complaint was that the increasingly socialist governments rewarded them through taxation and regulation, and by demeaning their contributions. For Ayn Rand, nothing represented the contributions of those people more than the iconic symbol of Atlas holding up the earth, keeping it stable. It was a metaphor for the way that responsible, intelligent people innovated and worked, essentially holding the world steady for everyone else. She saw the social forces, the socialist revolutions, as killing the incentive for these people to do their jobs. Thus, in her story, the doers, the ones who made things happen, withdraw their services, and the central character, John Galt, poses the existential question: what happens if Atlas shrugs? 60 years on from the debut of Atlas Shrugged, the world is a rather different place. The same means of production are still essential to the economy, but they aren't the realm of progress. Large factories are no longer the playground of the innovators. In our digital world, someone who wants to discover new ways to do things, more efficient means of production, tends to turn to technology. The things they own are often intangible, intellectual property. Today, an innovation that is changing the world is the blockchain. Its use and offshoots such as cryptocurrency are altering the way the game of political control evolves. As it is applied to real estate, escrow services, payment services, tokens for games and gambling, as financial instruments, a political and economic struggle has ensued. Governments like its efficiency and are aware of its benefits and desirability, but its use undermines the value of their fiat currencies. They fear its inherent anonymity. Its use eliminates their ability to print money as an economic control. They're incapable of stopping it. Governments move to tax and regulate it. That should sound familiar. When J. Lee Porter and I looked at the struggle for freedom today, for individuality, we saw a broad range of goals, agendas, and strategies. Some conflict, some support each other. We saw that the powers that be are willing to grant us the usefulness of cryptocurrencies as long as they can eliminate its ability to maintain individual privacy, a key characteristic that, that endears it to its advocates. Every day there are new applications of crypto emerging, new ways which it enters our lives. Even banks and businesses, which work hand in hand with government, are adopting these as at a rate that forces governments that understand it poorly to adapt and accept it as a reality. When we wrote Crypto Shrugged, we asked what happens as these various attempts, often working at odds, if not simply cross purposes, all play out on the global financial and political stage. When we realize that humans are creating these implementations and that they are dragging the established authority into a new age, we found we needed to ask, will crypto shrug? Will the new means of production, the digital means, be co-opted? Or will the lovers of freedom ensure that they remain a tool of independence and liberty? And that is the question our book addresses. Thank you.